Hey guys, tonight we are carving monsters. The masons build the walls, but we give the building its eyes and teeth. We are joining the medieval stone carver. We are going to turn a heavy block of earth into a guardian of the sky. This is a story about geology, geometry, and the patience of stone. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Now, hear the tap of the mallet, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The wind is always moving up here. Always. It comes from the river valley below, slides over the rooftops of the city, and climbs the cathedral scaffolding where you stand. It never stops. Even on still days down in the streets, up here on the scaffold, there is wind. It moves through the hemp ropes that hold the platform. It hums through the wooden poles. It carries the smell of smoke from the forges below, the smell of bread from the bakeries, the smell of the river mud. And dust. Always dust. The dust is everywhere. It coats your hands. It settles in the creases of your tunic. It gets into your hair, your eyelashes, your lungs. Stone dust, fine as flour. White when you are carving limestone. Grey when you are cutting slate for the roof. It hangs in the air when you work, a cloud that catches the afternoon light and turns it golden. You breathe it. You taste it. You become part of it. After 10 years of carving, you are more stone than flesh. From up here, the city spreads below like a map drawn by God. You can see the market square where the cloth merchants set up their stalls. You can see the river winding east toward the mills. You can see the rooftops, some thatched, some tiled, some patched with wood and hope. You can see the streets, narrow as veins, connecting everything. And you can see the people, small as ants from this height, moving through their days, carrying water, driving carts, haggling, living. They look up sometimes at the cathedral rising above them, but they do not see you. They see stone, they see walls, they see the promise of something holy being built. But you see the work, you see the scaffolding, you see the blocks that still need carving, you see the years ahead. The cathedral has been growing for 30 years. Your father worked on it. His father worked on it. When it is finished, your son will work on it. No one builds a cathedral in a single lifetime. Cathedrals are arguments with time. They are built in stone because stone remembers. Wood rots, flesh fails, but stone endures. And so you carve. Today you are carving a gargoyle, a waterspout, a beast that will lean out from the roofline and carry the rain away from the walls. It must be functional. It must have a channel through its body for the water to flow. But it must also be fearsome. It must remind the people below that the world is full of things that wait in shadows. Things with teeth, things with claws, things that crouch on the edges of the holy places and watch. You have carved 23 gargoyles already, no two the same. The master mason does not like repetition. He says that God's creation is infinite in variety, and so the cathedral must be too. You have carved dragons with curling tongues. You have carved lions with human faces. You have carved demons with bat wings and goat horns. You have carved things that have no name, pulled from dreams and fever visions. Each one is different. Each one is yours. But before you can carve, you must choose the stone. The blocks are stacked near the base of the scaffold. They were brought here weeks ago from the quarry, 10 miles north. The quarrymen cut them free from the earth and loaded them onto carts. Oxen pulled them along the rutted roads. They were hoisted up the side of the cathedral on wooden cranes, ropes creaking, men shouting. Now they wait. Some will become columns. Some will become window frames. Some will become saints standing in niches. And one will become your gargoyle. You climb down the ladder, hand under hand, feet finding the rungs without looking. You have climbed this ladder 1,000 times. You could climb it in the dark. You could climb it drunk. The rungs are smooth from use, worn by the hands of all the men who have worked here. At the bottom, you step onto solid ground. Your knees remember gravity. Your back remembers weight. Working on the scaffold makes you forget what level feels like. The stone blocks are arranged by size and type. The master mason is particular about this. He does not want anyone taking the wrong stone for the wrong purpose. Freestone here, sandstone there. Marble for the altar, though that has not arrived yet. Everything labeled with chalk marks. Everything in its place. You are looking for freestone, limestone, the kind that has no grain, no direction. Most stones have a grain like wood. They want to split along certain lines. They have a memory of how they were formed, layer upon layer, compressed over ages. But freestone is different. Freestone is even, homogeneous. You can carve it in any direction and it will respond the same way. Up, down, sideways, diagonal. The stone does not care. This is what you need for a gargoyle, because a gargoyle is all curves and angles, spirals and protrusions. It does not follow simple lines. You walk along the stacks, examining each block. Size matters. Too small and the gargoyle will be weak, its features timid. Too large and it will be too heavy to lift into place once it is carved. You need something you can work with. Something about 2 feet by 2 feet by 3 feet. Big enough for presence, small enough for control. You find a likely candidate. The color is good, pale gray, almost white. No visible cracks. No rust stains from iron deposits. The surface is rough from the quarry saw, but that does not matter. You will be removing most of this surface anyway. What matters is what is inside. You reach down and pick up a small hammer from your tool belt. The hammer is old. The handle is oak, dark from years of hand oil. The head is iron, squared on one end for striking, rounded on the other for finesse. It weighs maybe a pound. You have carried this hammer for 15 years. It fits your hand like a hand fits a glove. You raise the hammer and tap the block. Not hard, just enough to make it ring. You listen. The sound tells you everything. A good block rings clear. A high note that sustains for a moment before fading. It sounds like a bell almost. This means the stone is solid. No hidden cracks, no voids, no flaws waiting to reveal themselves when you are halfway through carving. You tap it again in a different spot. Same clear ring. Good. You move around the block, tapping at each corner, each face, always listening, always checking. A cracked block will thud, a dull, dead sound, like tapping earth. If you hear that, you move on. A cracked block will fail, maybe not today, maybe not while you are carving it. But when winter comes and water gets into that crack and freezes and expands, the block will split, and your gargoyle will fall, and the master mason will not be pleased. This block rings true. Every tap comes back clean. You mark it with a piece of chalk, a simple X on the top face. This one is yours. 2 apprentices help you move it. They are young, maybe 14, still growing into their strength. They grunt and strain as they lift. Stone is always heavier than it looks. Always. You could tell them this, but they will learn. Everyone learns. The stone teaches. You guide them up the ladder 1 step at a time. The block hangs between you on a rope sling. It sways slightly. You steady it with one hand. Climbing with a load is different, slower, more careful. A dropped block could kill someone, could kill you. So you climb with patience. Step, breathe, step, breathe. The wind pushes at the block. You push back. At the top, you swing the block onto the work platform. It lands with a heavy sound. Solid, real. The platform is sturdy, built from oak beams as thick as your thigh. It has to be. It has to hold the weight of men and stone and tools. It has to hold steady in wind and rain. It has to last until the cathedral is finished. The carpenters who built it knew their trade. The apprentices leave. They have other tasks. Mixing mortar, carrying tools, sweeping stone chips. An apprentice is always busy. You were an apprentice once. You remember. Now you are a journeyman. You have your own mark, your own tools, your own responsibility. The block sits in front of you, rough, unformed. But inside it, the gargoyle is already waiting. You know this. You have always known this. The stone does not create the form. The stone reveals it. Your job is to see what is hidden and bring it into the light. To remove everything that is not gargoyle. This requires vision. It requires patience. It requires the kind of looking that goes beyond eyes. But first, the template. You walk to the corner of the platform where you keep your tools. They are wrapped in old cloth to protect them from the weather. You unwrap them carefully. Each tool has its place. Each tool has its purpose. You do not own many things in this life, but you own these tools. They are your inheritance and your future. They are how you eat, how you pay for bread and beer, how you keep a roof over your head. Among the tools is a wooden template. You carved it yourself last week from a piece of seasoned oak. It is the shape of the gargoyle in profile, a side view. It shows the curve of the back, the arch of the neck, the angle of the head, the protrusion of the snout. It shows where the wings will attach, where the haunches will crouch, where the tail will curl. It is not the whole gargoyle. It is a guide, a beginning. You made the template from a drawing. The master mason provided the drawing. He does this for all the carved figures. He sketches them on parchment with a quill and ink. Dragons here, angels there, gargoyles on the roof. He has a vision for the whole cathedral, how it will look when it is done, how the stone will tell a story from ground to spire. Your job is to translate his vision into 3 dimensions, to make his lines become solid. The template is about 18 inches long. You hold it up against the block, trying different orientations. The stone must be used efficiently. There cannot be too much waste. Stone is expensive. Quarrying is hard. Transport is hard. Every piece matters. You turn the template this way and that, looking for the best fit, trying to imagine how the bulk of the gargoyle will sit inside the bulk of the block. You find an angle that works. The gargoyle will face slightly to the left, head turned, looking along the roofline. The haunches will be at the back of the block. The wings will spread from the shoulders. There will be enough stone for everything, just enough. You press the template flat against one face of the block and hold it steady. With your free hand, you pick up a piece of charcoal. Charcoal is perfect for marking stone. It is dark, it is visible, and it brushes off easily if you make a mistake. You trace around the edge of the template, drawing a black outline on the grey stone. The charcoal scratches slightly as it moves. It leaves a clear line. When you finish, you lift the template away. The profile of the gargoyle is now on the stone. A ghost, a promise. But a profile is not enough. You need to mark the other dimensions too. You move to an adjacent face of the block and position the template again, this time showing the front view. The width of the body, the spread of the wings, you trace again. More lines, more charcoal. The gargoyle is beginning to appear from multiple angles, like something emerging from fog. You step back and look at your marks. Black lines on grey stone. They do not look like much yet, but they are the map you will follow. They are the boundaries between what will remain and what will be removed. Everything outside these lines will become dust and chips. Everything inside will become form. Now comes the heavy work. You pick up the pitching tool. It is a wide chisel, maybe 3 inches across, with a thick, sturdy blade, not sharp. It does not need to be sharp, it needs to be strong. The pitching tool is for rough work, for violence, for convincing the stone to let go of large pieces. You also pick up a heavy hammer. This one is not for tapping. This one is for striking. It weighs maybe 3 pounds. The head is steel. The handle is ash, springy and strong. When you swing this hammer, you want the stone to feel it. You position yourself next to the block. You study the charcoal lines. You identify a corner that is clearly outside the boundary of the gargoyle. A chunk of stone that serves no purpose. It needs to go. You place the pitching tool against the stone at an angle, a few inches in from the edge. The angle matters. Too steep, and the tool will just sink into the stone without breaking anything free. Too shallow, and the stone will crumble instead of splitting cleanly. You want the angle to be about 60 degrees. You have done this enough times that you do not think about it anymore. Your hands know. You raise the hammer, you breathe in, you swing. The hammer hits the back of the pitching tool with a sharp crack. The impact travels down your arm, into your shoulder, into your spine. The stone resists for a moment, and then it gives. A chunk the size of your fist breaks free and falls to the platform floor. It bounces once and lies still. Crack. You reset the tool, raise the hammer, swing again. Another chunk. The sound echoes across the scaffold. Other workers hear it. They know what it means. Someone is pitching. Someone is beginning a carving. The sound is familiar. It is the sound of cathedrals being born. Crack, thud, crack. You work your way around the block, removing corners, knocking off the obvious excess. Each strike is deliberate. You are not trying to get close to the final form yet. You are just trying to reduce the block to something more manageable, something closer to a cube that contains the gargoyle rather than a cube that contains a lot of empty stone. The chips pile up around your feet. Some are large, some are small. They scatter across the platform. Later, an apprentice will sweep them up and throw them into a bucket. The chips will be used for fill in the walls. Nothing is wasted. Every piece of stone, no matter how small, has a purpose. Your arms begin to warm with the work. The motion is repetitive. Raise, swing, strike, reset. Raise, swing, strike, reset. It is a rhythm. It is almost meditative. Your mind can wander while your body works. This is one of the things you like about carving. The work occupies your hands but frees your thoughts. You think about the gargoyle taking shape. You imagine it finished, perched on the roof edge, mouth open, water pouring from its throat during rainstorms. You imagine how it will look from the ground, a dark shape against the sky. You imagine people pointing at it, children being frightened by it, priests explaining that it guards against evil, that it scares away demons, that it is a reminder that the church stands watch over the darkness. You think about the other gargoyles you have carved, each one different, each one with its own personality somehow, the one with the twisted horns, the one with the long tongue hanging down, the one that looked almost sad despite being a monster. You did not plan for it to look sad. It just happened. The stone decided. Sometimes the stone knows things you do not. Crack, thud, crack. The sun moves across the sky. Shadows shift on the platform. The light changes from the bright white of midday to the softer gold of afternoon. You do not stop. Pitching takes time. It is not precise work, but it is necessary work. You must remove the bulk before you can find the detail. Your hands vibrate from the impacts. The hammer strike sends shocks through your palms, your wrists, your elbows. After hours of this, your hands will tingle. They will feel strange. This is normal. This is the cost of working stone. Your father had the same tingling. His father before him. It comes with the trade. Some carvers lose feeling in their fingers eventually. The vibration damages something inside. But you are not old yet. You still have years before that happens. You hope. The block is getting smaller, more defined. The rough cube is becoming a rough rectangle, then a rough wedge, then a rough shape that, if you squint, might almost suggest something crouched, something with mass at one end and extension at the other. It is still far from a gargoyle, but it is closer than it was. You set down the heavy hammer and pick up a lighter one, still using the pitching tool but with more control now. Smaller strikes, more careful placements. You are getting closer to the charcoal lines. You do not want to cross them, not yet, not with the pitching tool. That would remove too much. That would ruin the form before it even begins. You work along the back where the haunches will be. You remove stone in layers, stepping down gradually. The sound changes. Less crack, more tap. The chunks are smaller now. The work is slower, more thoughtful. Tap, tap, tap. The rhythm changes. The weight of the hammer changes. The angle of the tool changes. Every stage of carving has its own feeling, its own tempo. Pitching is loud and aggressive. What comes next will be quieter, more intimate. You pause and step back. You wipe your forehead with the back of your hand. Dust smears. Sweat cuts through it. You are thirsty. There is a water skin hanging from a nail on the scaffold post. You walk over and drink. The water is warm and tastes slightly of leather, but it is wet. It washes the stone dust from your throat. You drink deeply and then pour some over your head. The water runs down your face, your neck, into your tunic. It feels good. You look at the block. It has changed. An hour ago it was a square lump. Now it has angles, planes, the suggestion of a form inside. It is still rough, still blocky. But the gargoyle is beginning to announce itself. You can see it now, or at least the echo of it. You walk around the block, examining it from all sides, checking your progress against the charcoal lines. Some lines have been chipped away during the pitching. This is normal. You redraw them with fresh charcoal. The lines are guides, not scripture. They can be adjusted. They can be refined. The gargoyle will tell you what it wants to be. Satisfied, you pick up a different tool, the point chisel. This is where the real shaping begins. The point chisel is narrow, maybe half an inch wide at the tip, tapering to a blunt point, not sharp like a knife, blunt like a thick nail. The point chisel does not cut stone, it bursts it. When you strike the point chisel with a hammer, the focused force shatters the stone at the surface, breaking it away in small particles. It is violent at a microscopic level, but from a distance it looks almost gentle, controlled, precise. You also switch hammers again. This one is lighter, maybe 1.5 pounds, easier to control. You will be making hundreds of strikes, thousands. The hammer needs to be light enough to swing all day without exhausting you, but heavy enough to do the work. This one is perfect. The handle is worn smooth where your hand grips it. The balance is right. It is an extension of your arm. You position the point chisel against the stone at the shoulder where the wing will emerge. You tap lightly. The surface of the stone fractures. Tiny chips fly off. You tap again. More fracturing. More chips. The stone seems to burst outward from the point of impact like a tiny explosion frozen in time. Tap, 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 tap. The sound is different now. Higher pitched, faster. The rhythm is quicker. Pitching was slow and heavy. Point work is rapid and light. It sounds almost like rain on a roof or like a woodpecker on a tree. Tap, 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 tap. Continuous, rhythmic, hypnotic. You move the chisel slightly and tap again, bursting more stone. You are working your way across the surface, removing a thin layer, bringing the form down gradually. This is patient work. This is where the days go. You cannot rush point work. If you try to remove too much too quickly, you will go past your line. You will ruin the form, so you work slowly, layer by layer, tap by tap. The vibration is constant now. Every strike sends a shock through your hand, up your arm. The chisel rings slightly with each impact. The stone resists and then yields over and over. Your hand becomes numb to it. Your arm becomes mechanical. The motion is automatic. Tap, move, tap, move, tap, move. The dust rises again, finer now, almost like smoke. It drifts on the breeze. It catches the light. You breathe it in. You have been breathing it in for so long that you no longer notice. It is just part of the air up here, part of the work. You step back every few minutes to check your progress. The surface is changing. The rough texture left by the pitching tool is being smoothed away. The stone is taking on a new quality, still rough but less brutal, more considered. The planes are becoming curves. The angles are softening. The gargoyle is emerging. You focus on the back first. The haunches, the spine, these are the large forms, the foundations. You need to establish them before you can work on the details. The details come last. First, the mass. First, the gesture. First, the sense that this thing crouches, that it has weight, that it could spring. Tap, 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 tap. Time passes in a strange way when you are carving. Minutes feel like seconds. Hours feel like minutes. You look up and the sun has moved halfway across the sky. Your stomach reminds you that you have not eaten since morning. But you do not stop. Not yet. You are in the rhythm now. Stopping would break it. You will eat later. The haunches are taking shape. You can see the curve of them now, the way they bunch with potential energy, the way they suggest power held in check. You tap along the spine, creating a ridge. The gargoyle will have a bony, starved look. Ribs showing, vertebrae prominent, not a fat, lazy monster, a hungry one, a vigilant one. You move to the neck. It needs to arch. The head will turn looking along the roofline, but the neck must support that turn. It must be thick enough to be strong, but graceful enough to be fearsome. You remove stone from the underside of the neck, creating the curve. Tap, tap, tap. The chisel bites into the stone. The stone gives way. Slowly, reluctantly, but it gives. The shoulders are next. Broad, powerful. The wings will attach here. The wings will need support. You define the shoulder blades, carving the suggestion of muscles beneath the skin. Monsters have anatomy too. They follow rules, even if those rules are not quite the same as the rules for men or animals. You have studied bodies. You have watched how muscles move under skin, how bones articulate, how weight distributes. You bring this knowledge to the gargoyle. It must be believable, even if it is not real. Tap, 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 tap. The rhythm becomes meditative. Your mind empties. There is only the work, only the stone, only the next tap and the next and the next. This is why you carve. Not for the finished gargoyle, though that is satisfying, but for this state of being completely present, completely focused. The rest of the world fades away. The cathedral fades away. The city fades away. There is only you and the stone and the slow, patient revelation of form. Your hand moves automatically now. You do not think about where to place the chisel. You just know. Your eye sees the curve that needs to be there. Your hand places the chisel. Your other hand swings the hammer. Tap. The stone responds. You move. Tap. The stone responds. You move. It is a conversation. The stone speaks in fractures and resistance. You speak in taps and pressure. Together you find the gargoyle. The sun is lower now. The light is turning orange. Late afternoon. You have been working for hours. Your back aches. Your shoulders are tight. Your hands are numb from vibration. But the gargoyle is taking shape. The rough mass is becoming a rough figure. You can see the crouch of it now. The tension. The way it will lean out from the roof edge, mouth open, ready to spit water at the sky. You set down the tools and flex your hands. Open, close, open, close. The fingers tingle. The joints are stiff. You walk to the edge of the platform and look down at the city. The people are smaller now in the fading light. Candles are being lit in windows. Smoke rises from chimneys. The day is ending for them, but for you there is still work. There is always work. You return to the gargoyle. You pick up the point chisel again. The hammer. You begin again. Tap, tap, tap. The front legs need to be defined. The claws. The gargoyle will grip the stone of the roof edge with its claws. They must look strong. They must look like they can hold. You work on the chest, bringing it forward, defining the rib cage. Each rib a shallow curve. You do not carve every rib individually. That would be too much detail for something that will sit 50 feet above the ground. But you suggest them. You imply them, enough so that the eye can fill in the rest. Tap, 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 tap. The head is still a rough lump. You will save the head for last. The head is where the personality lives. The head is where people will look. It needs the most care, the most attention. But first, the body must be right. The foundation must be solid. You move to the tail. It will curl around the haunch and point forward, perhaps draping over one of the back legs. Tails are tricky. They need to look natural, but also fit within the practical limitations of the stone. A tail that is too thin will break. A tail that extends too far will be weak. You compromise. You carve a tail that is thick enough to survive but graceful enough to enhance the composition. Tap, 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 tap. The wind picks up as evening approaches. It is colder now. You feel it on your sweat-damp tunic. You shiver slightly but do not stop. The cold helps, actually. It keeps you alert. It keeps you sharp. You step back again. The gargoyle is emerging. It is not finished, not even close. But it is no longer a block. It is a creature, rough and undefined, but recognizably a creature. You can see the gesture of it, the crouch, the readiness, the sense that it watches. You look at the charcoal lines that remain. Some are gone, chipped away or worn off. Others are still visible. You redraw where needed. The lines are closer now. The margin for error is smaller. The pitching was forgiving. Point work is less so. What comes after point work, the finer chisels, the details, those will be less forgiving still. But that is for tomorrow, or the day after, or the week after. A gargoyle takes time, weeks, sometimes a month if it is complex. You cannot rush stone. Stone does not care about your schedule. Stone works on its own time. You gather your tools. You wrap them carefully in the old cloth. The hammer, the chisels, the pitching tool, the point. Tomorrow you will use different tools, finer tools, claw chisels, flat chisels, eventually rasps and abrasives for the final smoothing, but not yet. There is still too much rough work to do. You look at the gargoyle one more time in the fading light. It crouches on the platform, half-born, waiting, patient. It has been waiting in the stone for millions of years. It can wait a few more weeks while you finish revealing it. The apprentices have left for the day. The other carvers have left. The scaffold is quiet except for the wind in the ropes. You climb down the ladder slowly. Your legs are stiff. Your back is tight. Every part of you aches in the particular way that comes from standing and working and striking stone all day. At the bottom, you walk across the cathedral yard. The ground is littered with stone chips and mortar dust. The carts that bring supplies are empty now, waiting for tomorrow. The forges are banked for the night, coals glowing dull red. The whole site is settling into evening. You head toward the workers' lodgings, a long wooden building where the carvers and masons and laborers sleep. It smells of smoke and sweat and damp wool. But there is food there, bread, soup, beer, and there is rest. You will eat, you will drink, you will sleep. And tomorrow you will return to the scaffold, you will climb the ladder, you will unwrap your tools, and you will tap the stone again. Tap, 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 tap. The rhythm will resume. The gargoyle will continue to emerge, layer by layer, strike by strike, until one day it will be finished, until one day it will be hoisted into place on the roof, until one day it will open its mouth and the first rain will pour through it and it will fulfill its purpose. But that day is not today. Today was pitching and pointing. Today was rough work. Today was convincing the stone to let go of its excess. Tomorrow will be refinement. Tomorrow will be shaping. Tomorrow the gargoyle will become more itself. You eat your bread, you drink your beer, you lie down on your straw mattress. Other men snore around you. The cathedral site is never truly silent. There is always sound, always movement, always work waiting to be done. You close your eyes, your hands still tingle. You can still feel the vibration of the hammer strikes, the ghost of the day's work. It will fade while you sleep, and tomorrow you will create it again. Tap, 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 tap. The sound echoes in your memory. The sound of stone being shaped. The sound of monsters being born. The sound of cathedrals rising. You drift towards sleep. The dust is still in your lungs. The ache is still in your arms. But there is satisfaction too. The satisfaction of work done, of progress made, of form revealed. Tomorrow the gargoyle will have more definition, more character, more presence. Day by day it will become. Week by week it will take shape. And when it is done, it will last. It will outlive you. It will outlive your children. It will outlive the memory of your name. But it will exist, high on the cathedral roof, crouched and watching, mouth open, ready. That is enough. That has always been enough. The rhythm continues in your sleep. Tap, tap, tap. The endless conversation with stone. The patient work of revealing what is hidden. Tap, tap, tap. The gargoyle waits. Tomorrow you will return. The work continues. The work always continues. You wake before dawn. The lodging is dark. Men breathe heavily in sleep around you. The air smells of bodies and smoke. You lie still for a moment, feeling the ache in your shoulders, your back, your hands. The ache is always there in the morning. It is the price you pay. You stretch slowly, feeling the tightness in your muscles. Then you rise. Outside, the sky is the color of slate, gray, lightening slowly at the edges. The cathedral looms against it, a dark shape, incomplete. The scaffolding clings to its sides like wooden ribs. You can see the outline of where you will work today. The platform, the gargoyle waiting. You eat quickly, bread from yesterday, hard cheese, water. The other carvers are beginning to stir. Some are already at the fire, warming their hands. You nod to them but do not speak. Morning is a quiet time. Everyone is inside their own thoughts, preparing for the day's work. You gather your tools. Today you will need different chisels, finer ones. You unwrap the cloth and select what you need. The claw chisel, the flat chisel, the fine point, the drag stone. You wrap them again and tie the bundle to your belt. The hammers, too, light ones. Control is more important now than force. You walk across the yard to the cathedral. The ground is damp with dew. Your boots leave prints in the dust. The sky is lighter now, pink at the horizon. The first birds are calling. Somewhere in the city, a rooster crows. The day is beginning. You climb the ladder, hand over hand. The rungs are cold and slick with moisture. You climb carefully. A fall from this height would end you. You have seen it happen. A man loses his grip. A rope frays, a board breaks, and then the fall, and then the silence. So you climb carefully. Always 3 points of contact, always looking at the next rung. At the top, you step onto the platform. The gargoyle is where you left it, waiting. In the early light, it looks almost alive. The crouch, the tension, the sense of something about to move, but it is still rough, still incomplete. The surface is pitted from the point chisel. The features are undefined. There is work to do. You unwrap your tools and lay them out in order. You have a system, everything in its place, everything within reach. Efficiency matters when you are working all day. You do not want to waste time searching for the right chisel. You want your hands to know where to go. You pick up the claw chisel. This is a different tool. The edge is not smooth. It is toothed, like a comb. 5 or 6 metal teeth set into the edge of the blade. When you strike the claw chisel, the teeth rake across the stone, leaving parallel grooves. It removes stone faster than a smooth chisel, and it creates texture, direction, flow. The claw chisel is for defining form, for creating the sense of surface moving over structure, for suggesting muscle and sinew, for making the stone look less like stone and more like flesh, even monster flesh. You position the claw chisel against the haunch of the gargoyle, the shoulder, where the muscle bunches before it attaches to the bone. You angle the chisel carefully. The teeth need to bite into the stone at the right depth. Too shallow and they will skip. Too deep and they will catch and break. You raise the hammer, you strike. The teeth rake across the stone with a sound like tearing fabric. Rasp tap, rasp tap. Not the clean tap of the point chisel, not the crack of the pitching tool. This is rougher, grittier. The sound has texture. You strike again. The teeth drag through the stone, leaving parallel lines. You follow the curve of the muscle. The chisel moves with the form describing it. Rasp tap, rasp tap. The lines flow from the spine down to the shoulder. They suggest the direction of the muscle fiber, the way it pulls, the way it would move if this creature could move. Rasp tap, rasp tap, rasp tap. The rhythm is different from yesterday, slower than the point work, more deliberate. Each strike must be placed with intention. The direction matters. The angle matters. You are not just removing stone now. You are sculpting it. You are describing anatomy. You work your way across the haunch, stroke by stroke. The surface begins to change. The flat plane left by the point chisel becomes a curved surface with direction, with flow. The stone starts to read as muscle. You step back and look. Yes, better. The haunch has power now. It has structure. You move to the other haunch. Same process. Position the claw chisel. Follow the curve. Rasp tap. Rasp tap, the teeth bite, the stone yields, the lines appear, parallel, flowing, describing the form. Your hand knows the pressure now, the right angle, the right depth. You do not think about it, you just work. The chisel becomes an extension of your thought. You see where the line should go, the chisel goes there. Rasp tap, simple, direct. The morning light strengthens, golden now. It comes across the rooftops and hits the cathedral scaffolding. It illuminates the stone dust in the air. Everything glows. You work in this light. The gargoyle begins to take on color as the sun touches it. Not just gray, but gold gray, warm, almost alive. You move to the back. The spine, this needs to be prominent. Bony, each vertebra should be visible. You use the claw chisel to define the bumps along the center line, short strokes, careful placement. Rasp tap, rasp tap. The spine emerges, a ridge, a series of knobs. The gargoyle is starving. It is all angles and bones, a creature of vigilance and hunger. The wings need work. They fold against the back, not yet spread. You have carved the basic shape. Now you define the bones inside, the struts that would support the membrane. You use the claw chisel to create grooves that suggest the skeletal structure. Long strokes following the length of each bone. Rasp tap, rasp tap. The wings begin to look functional, like they could spread, like they could catch wind. Between the bones, the membrane, this needs to be thinner, flatter. You switch to a flat chisel, smooth-edged. You tap carefully, removing thin layers of stone. The membrane should look fragile, delicate. In contrast to the bones, you work slowly here. This is delicate work. Too much force and you could break through, could ruin it. Tap, tap, tap. The membrane thins. Light almost seems to pass through it, though of course it does not. Stone is stone, but the illusion is there, the suggestion of translucency. This is the craft, making stone pretend to be something it is not. You return to the claw chisel. The legs need definition. The front legs, they will grip the roof edge. You carve the muscles of the foreleg, the bicep, the forearm. Each muscle gets its own direction, its own flow of lines. Rasp tap, rasp tap. The leg becomes convincing. You can see how it would bear weight, how the muscles would flex. The claws are next. These are important. These must look strong. You switch to a finer point chisel. You define each claw, carving the space between them, creating separation. Each claw curves slightly, hooked, ready to grip. You undercut them slightly so they stand proud from the paw. This takes time. This takes precision. But it is worth it. The claws make the gargoyle dangerous. The chest, the rib cage. You have already suggested the ribs with the point chisel. Now you refine them with the claw. Each rib gets a shallow groove above it and below it. This creates the illusion of depth, of bone beneath skin. Rasp tap, rasp tap. The chest becomes three-dimensional. You can count the ribs if you wanted to. Hours pass. The sun climbs higher. The platform is warm now. You are sweating. You stop and drink water. You wipe your face. The stone dust mixes with sweat and creates a paste on your skin. You ignore it. Everyone working stone looks like this. Gray, caked, more statue than man. You study the gargoyle. It has changed since yesterday. It is no longer rough. The forms are defined now. The anatomy is clear. But it still needs more. It needs the face. It needs the spout. It needs to become functional as well as fearsome. The spout, this is engineering. A gargoyle is not just decoration. It is a water channel. Rain hits the roof, runs down to the gutters, collects at the gargoyle, and pours out through the gargoyle's mouth, away from the walls. If water runs down the walls, it will stain them, weaken them, freeze in winter and crack the stone. So the gargoyle must carry the water away, must spit it clear of the building. You need to drill a hole through the body, from the back where the gutter will connect, through the chest, through the throat, out the mouth. A channel, a tunnel through solid stone. You have an auger for this, a long iron drill with a spiral bit, and you have a brace, a frame that holds the auger and lets you turn it. This is hard work. Stone does not want to be pierced. It resists, but slowly, slowly, the auger will cut through. You mark the entry point on the back of the gargoyle. This needs to be precise. The angle must be correct. The hole must emerge at the mouth, not the eye, not the cheek, the mouth. You mark the exit point on the mouth as well. You sight along the line between them, checking, adjusting. When you are satisfied, you begin. You position the auger at the entry point. The tip bites into the stone. You turn the brace. Slowly, the auger spirals into the stone. It makes a grinding sound. Grit. The bit cuts. Stone dust comes out in the spiral grooves. You turn and turn and turn. Your arms strain. This takes strength. The auger wants to bind, wants to stick. You keep turning, steady pressure, steady rotation. The bit goes deeper. A quarter inch, half an inch, an inch. You stop and pull the auger out. Blow away the dust. Check the hole. Good, straight. You continue. Turn, 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 grind. The sound is constant, monotonous, not musical like the hammer and chisel. This is industrial, mechanical, but necessary. The hole deepens. 2 inches, 3 inches. The auger is inside the stone now. You cannot see the bit anymore. You can only feel the resistance. The drag, you keep turning. Your shoulders burn, your back aches, but you keep turning. 4 inches, 5 inches. The stone dust piles up around the entry hole. White powder, fine as flour. You stop again. Rest, shake out your arms, drink water, then back to work. Turn, turn, turn. The gargoyle is maybe 18 inches thick at this point. You need to drill through all of it. 6 inches done. 7, 8. The auger is deep inside now. You add an extension to the auger shaft. More length. You keep turning. 10 inches. 11, 12. Your hands are cramping. You switch positions. Brace the tool differently. Keep turning. The bit is close to the other side now. You can feel it. The resistance is changing slightly. Less stone ahead. 13 inches. 14, 15. And then, breakthrough. The bit emerges on the other side. You feel the sudden release of pressure. The auger turns freely. You pull it out slowly, carefully. Stone dust pours from the hole. You blow through it from the back. Dust comes out the mouth. Perfect. You have a tunnel. You have a channel. The gargoyle can now do its job, can carry water, can protect the walls. But the hole is rough. You need to smooth it, make sure water will flow easily. You take a long rasp, iron file, thin enough to fit in the hole. You push it through. Scrape the inside, back and forth, back and forth. The rasp cuts away the rough edges, smooths the tunnel. You work from both ends, the back, the mouth, until the channel is clean, even. You blow through it again. The air moves freely. No obstructions, no catches. You are satisfied. The engineering is done. Now back to the art. The face. This is what you have been building toward. Everything else is foundation. But the face is the gargoyle. The face is what people will see, what they will remember, what will frighten children and comfort priests. The face must be right. You have left the head rough until now. A basic shape, snout, brow, but no features, no eyes, no teeth, no expression. This is the most delicate work. This requires the finest chisels, the steadiest hand, the clearest vision. You pick up a small, flat chisel, maybe a quarter-inch wide, sharp, precise. You also pick up the lightest hammer, maybe half a pound, just enough to drive the chisel. This is not about force. This is about control. You begin with the eye sockets. The gargoyle's eyes will be deep, shadowed, hollow. This makes them seem to watch. Even though they are just holes in stone, you carve into the brow, angling under, creating a cavity. The chisel cuts smoothly here, small taps, tiny movements. Each tap removes a fragment the size of a grain of sand. Tap, 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 tap. The socket deepens. You carve the upper lid, a ridge that overhangs the eye. This creates shadow, mystery. You carve carefully. This close to the surface, one mistake would be visible forever, would ruin the face. So you work slowly, checking constantly, adjusting. The second eye socket. Same process. You try to make them even, symmetrical, though perfect symmetry is not natural. Nothing in nature is perfectly symmetrical, so you aim for balance, not perfection. The eyes should feel right, should feel alive. Inside each socket, you carve a suggestion of an eyeball, a sphere, sunken. You do not carve pupils. They would not be visible from the ground anyway, just the shape of an eye, the curve, the sense of something looking out. The snout, this must seem to thrust forward. Aggressive, you carve the planes of the face, the cheekbones, the jaw. Each plane catches light differently. This creates dimension, makes the face read clearly from a distance. The nostrils, two holes. You drill them with a small bit, just dark spots. They do not need to be large, just present, just enough to suggest breath, life. The mouth, this is critical. The mouth is where the water will come from. It must be open, wide. The hole you drilled comes out here. You carve around it, shaping lips, or what passes for lips on a monster. The upper lip curls back. Snarling, you carve this curl carefully. It must look aggressive, threatening. The teeth, every gargoyle needs teeth. You carve them one by one, using the finest chisel. Each tooth is a small triangle, sharp. You undercut them slightly. This makes them stand out, makes them seem separate from each other. Each tooth gets individual attention. This takes hours, but it is worth it. The teeth make the gargoyle fearsome. Tap, 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 tap. You hold your breath while carving the teeth. This close, this delicate, you cannot afford a mistake. One wrong tap and you could break a tooth off, could ruin the snarl. So you breathe shallow. You move slowly. You check every angle. The upper teeth, 6 of them, uneven sizes. This looks more natural, more monstrous. The lower teeth, 4 of them, shorter, but still sharp, still dangerous. The tongue, you carve a suggestion of a tongue behind the teeth, curled, ready. This adds depth to the mouth, makes it seem like a real cavity, not just a carved surface. You step back, the face is done. The gargoyle stares at you. Empty eyes, snarling mouth, teeth bared. It looks angry, it looks hungry, it looks perfect. But it is still rough. The surface is covered with chisel marks. The texture is uneven. It needs smoothing, not everywhere. Some parts can stay rough. The skin can stay textured, but certain areas need refinement, the face especially, the high points, the places that catch light. You put down the chisels, you pick up the drag. This is a stone tool, not metal. It is a piece of sandstone, flat, coarse. It works like sandpaper. You rub it against the limestone. The drag abrades the surface, smooths it, polishes it. You start with the face, the brow. You rub the drag across the stone in circular motions, gentle pressure. The drag rasps against the limestone, a dry, grinding sound, softer than metal on stone, almost soothing. The surface begins to change. The chisel marks fade. The stone becomes smooth, not polished. This is limestone, not marble. It will never truly polish, but smooth, even, pleasant to touch. You work across the brow, the cheekbones, the jaw. Each area gets attention. Each area gets smoothed. The drag wears down as you work. The coarse sandstone becomes finer. Eventually, you will need a new one. But for now, this one works. The snout, you smooth the planes. The drag follows the curves. You are careful around the details, the nostrils, the teeth. You do not want to round them off. They need to stay sharp. So you work around them, smoothing the surrounding areas but leaving the details crisp. The neck, the shoulders, these get smoothed too, not completely, just enough to catch the light nicely, to show the form clearly. Some texture remains, some roughness. This is good. It suggests scales. Skin, the gargoyle is not smooth like a person. It is a creature. It should have texture. The wings, you smooth the bones, but leave the membranes slightly rough. This suggests the leathery quality, the difference between bone and skin. Hours pass. The sun is past its peak now. Afternoon, you work steadily. The drag rasps, the surface smooths. The gargoyle transforms from rough stone to refined sculpture. The forms you carved are now visible clearly. The anatomy reads. The details catch the eye. Your hands are tired. The motion of rubbing the drag is different from hammering, different muscles. Your forearms burn, your wrists ache, but you continue. This is the final stage. This must be done right. You work on the haunches, smoothing the muscle forms. The drag follows the lines you carved with the claw chisel. It does not erase them. It refines them, makes them clearer. The chest, the ribs, each rib gets smoothed on its upper surface. The valleys between them stay rougher. This contrast makes the ribs more visible, more convincing. The legs, the paws, the claws, you smooth everything. Not to perfection, just to completion. To the point where the gargoyle looks intentional, considered, finished. Finally, you set down the drag, you step back, you walk around the gargoyle, examining it from every angle, looking for anything you missed, any roughness that should be smooth, any smoothness that should be rough, any detail that needs refining. You find a few spots, a rough patch on the shoulder, a chisel mark on the haunch that catches the eye wrong. You address them, drag, rasp, smooth, check, good. The gargoyle is finished. It has taken you 3 weeks, 3 weeks of climbing the ladder every morning, 3 weeks of tapping stone, 3 weeks of dust and vibration and aching hands, but it is done. The gargoyle crouches on the platform, complete, ready. It is late afternoon now. The sun is low, golden light. You sit on the edge of the platform and rest. You look at the gargoyle. It looks back at you, empty eyes, but somehow aware. You have seen this before. Every sculpture you finish seems to have a moment where it becomes more than stone, where it seems to have presence, spirit. This is that moment. You are proud, not in a boastful way, just satisfied. The work is good. The gargoyle will do its job. It will carry water. It will last centuries. It will watch over the city long after you are gone. This is your legacy, not your name. The name will be forgotten, but the gargoyle will remain. The master mason comes up the ladder. He inspects your work. He walks around it. He does not say much. He never does. He nods. This is approval. You know his ways. A nod is high praise. He marks something on his parchment. He climbs back down. Tomorrow they will hoist it. Tomorrow the ropes and pulleys will lift the gargoyle to the roof. Tomorrow it will take its place among the others. But today it rests here, on the platform, yours for one more evening. The sun continues its descent. The light turns orange, then red, then purple. The city below begins to glow with candles and hearth fires. The day ends. You should climb down. You should eat. You should rest. But you stay a few minutes longer. You look at the gargoyle, at the curve of its back, the snarl of its face, the spread of its wings, every detail you carved, every hour you spent, all of it visible now, all of it real. The wind picks up, cool. It moves through the scaffolding, the ropes creak, the boards shift slightly. You are used to this. The scaffold is alive. It breathes with the wind. You finally stand. You gather your tools. You wrap them in the old cloth. You tie the bundle to your belt. You take one last look at the gargoyle. Tomorrow it will be gone from here, in its place on the roof, doing its job. But tonight it is still yours. You climb down the ladder, hand under hand, feet finding rungs, down into the growing darkness. At the bottom, you walk across the yard. Other workers are heading to the lodgings. The day's work is done for everyone. You eat bread, stew, beer. You sit with the other carvers. You do not talk about the gargoyle. There is no need. They know. They have finished their own carvings. They understand the feeling, the satisfaction. the quiet pride, so you eat in companionable silence. After eating, you step outside. The night is clear, stars are visible. The cathedral rises against them, a dark shape, incomplete still, but growing, always growing. You can see the edge of the scaffold. Up there, the gargoyle waits. One more night, then it will fly. You return to the lodging. You lie down on your mattress. Your body aches, every muscle, every joint. But it is a good ache, the ache of work done, of purpose fulfilled. You close your eyes. Behind your eyelids you see the gargoyle, every detail. You know it completely. You created it, from a block of stone to a living form. Well, not living, but present, real, permanent. Tomorrow they will hoist it. You will help, you will guide the ropes. You will watch as it rises, as it swings through the air, as it settles into its place. And then you will secure it. Mortar, pins, whatever is needed to make sure it stays. And then it will be there, forever, watching. But that is tomorrow. Tonight you rest. You drift towards sleep. The sounds of the lodging fade. The snoring, the shifting, the breathing. It all becomes background, becomes nothing. You dream of stone. You always dream of stone. Tonight you dream of the gargoyle. It sits on the roof edge. The city spreads below. Night, stars, the gargoyle watches, its mouth open, ready for rain, its eyes seeing everything. The streets, the houses, the people sleeping in their beds. In the dream, rain comes. Heavy rain. It hits the roof, runs down to the gutters, collects at the gargoyle, and pours through the channel you drilled, through the throat, through the mouth, out into the air. A stream of water arcing away from the cathedral wall, splashing on the ground far below. The gargoyle does its job. The walls stay dry. The stone stays safe. The dream shifts. Now it is day, sun. The gargoyle bakes in the heat. Pigeons land on its back. The gargoyle does not move, does not care. It waits, patient. Stone has all the time in the world. Years pass in the dream. Seasons. The gargoyle watches them all. Summer, winter, spring, fall, rain, snow, sun, wind. The gargoyle endures. Children grow old. Old people die. New children are born. The city changes. Buildings rise. Buildings fall. The gargoyle watches. 100 years, 200. The cathedral is finished now. The scaffolding is gone. The workers are dead. Their names forgotten. But the gargoyle remains, crouched on the roof, mouth open, eyes hollow, watching. More rain, more sun, more centuries. The gargoyle's surface darkens with age. Lichen grows in the crevices. Birds nest behind it. But it holds. The stone is solid. The carving is deep. It lasts. In the dream, you see all of this. The long view, the eternal view. And you understand why you carve. Not for today, not for yourself, but for tomorrow, and the day after, and the century after. You carve for time itself. The dream fades. You sleep deeply now, dreamless. Your body repairs itself. Your muscles are not. Your hands stop tingling. By morning, you will be ready to work again, ready to climb, ready to help hoist the gargoyle into place. But for now, you sleep. And somewhere on the platform, the gargoyle waits in the darkness, crouched, snarling, perfect. The wind moves through its carved features, through the channel in its throat, through the gaps between its teeth. The wind makes no sound as it passes through, or maybe it does. Maybe it makes the smallest whistle, the first breath, the gargoyle testing its voice. Tomorrow it will rise. Tomorrow it will take its place. Tomorrow it will begin its watch. But tonight the city sleeps, the cathedral sleeps, the workers sleep, and the gargoyle waits, patient as stone, patient as time. You sleep. The dust settles, the stars turn overhead, the river flows, the earth breathes, and on the scaffolding high above the city, a stone monster crouches in the dark, ready to be born into its purpose. Morning will come, the ropes will lift, the gargoyle will ascend. But that is not yet, Not yet. For now there is only sleep, only rest, only the quiet dark, only the slow turning of the world, only the deep, steady rhythm of breathing, only peace. The gargoyle watches over your sleep, even now, even here, in dreams and stone and the space between. It watches, it guards, it waits. And you sleep safe beneath its gaze, safe in the knowledge that what you have made will endure, will protect, will last. The cathedral rises in the darkness, incomplete, but growing, stone by stone, carving by carving, prayer by prayer, and high on its walls the gargoyles gather, crouching, watching, waiting. You are one with them now, you and the stone, you and the work, you and the endless patient act of making, of shaping, of revealing what was always hidden in the earth. You sleep. And the gargoyle dreams stone dreams on the platform, dreams of rain and sky, dreams of watching, dreams of permanence. Tomorrow it will fly, but tonight it rests with you, both of you tired, both of you satisfied, both of you ready for what comes next. The night deepens, the stars brighten, the wind quiets, everything settles into stillness, into silence, into the calm before the work begins again. Sleep well, the gargoyle is finished. The stone has spoken, the work is done. Rest now, morning will come soon enough, and with it the ropes, the pulleys, the lift, the final placement, the beginning of forever. But for now, sleep, deep and dreamless and safe. The gargoyle watches, the cathedral waits, the city breathes below. All is well, all is stone, all is safe. Sleep.